second here.
Okay, hello everybody again. I'm Elsa and this is Roland, and today we are going to talk to you about nanofilters.
Alright, so to start things off, can anyone tell me what these are? Brittany? Yes, water filters. Now, can anyone tell me what they're used for?
Anyone.
Clean water.
Right, but, so filtered water tastes the same as tap water, right? And also, it kinda does.
It tastes so much better.
And it's the same color. It doesn't really do anything with appearance. So why do we filter it? Could there be something in the water that we can't see and we can't taste, but we're trying to get it out?
So for example, what if this stuff was in our water? So what we've got here, this is actually called nanosilver. So a nanomaterial is an extremely small particle that we use in a lot of different things because it's got special properties. So like I said, this one's nanosilver, and they're so small that we can't see them and we can't taste them. So imagine for a second that you own a bunny rabbit. Does anyone actually own a bunny rabbit? Nobody, okay. But you guys all know, they're pretty small, right? So imagine that your bunny rabbit is now next to an elephant, okay? So we're talking about 1,000 times bigger than your bunny rabbit. So now, what I want you to kind of think about, if your elephant was suddenly a single human cell, so all the things that we're made of, that very tiny cell, your bunny rabbit is 1,000 times smaller than that cell, and that is how big a nanosilver particle is.
Or how small it is. So let's try this. It turns out that nanosilver particles are in everything. So can anyone tell me something up here that they use every day that they see? Toothbrush, right. Josh, how about you?
Socks.
Yes, socks. And anything else? How about, has anyone ever played sports before? Or you ever have an injury where you have to put a gauze pad on it to cover it up? No? Alright, well these gauze pads are used to cover up your wounds when you scrape your knee or something. And the reason that nanosilver particles are in all of these because it helps kill bacteria and it also helps eliminate odor, like your smelly gym socks. And no one really likes smelly gym socks. So that's great and all that it has these benefits, but what happens when these small nanosilver particles get into your drinking water or the streams or the other environments?
And that's a really great question, but we don't know the answer. All this stuff is being used, as you can see, in a lot of different things. This is just a very small sample of what nanosilver is used in, and that's just one nanoparticle. So we really just don't know what these are going to do to us, what they're going to do to the environment. So this summer, I worked in a research lab to try and begin to answer that question. So this is me, and this is kind of where I worked in the top right, and that is actually our nanosilver. We have to keep in foil because it doesn't like sunlight. So I worked with Dr. Linhart in the Environmental Engineering Research Lab. So in my research, we kind of had 3 research goals. So who wants to read the first goal? Nate, go for it.
How does it interact with other things?
Great. So this question is talking about, does it change when it's released, when it washes out of our clothes? Does it become toxic? Is it going to hurt us after it changes? That's our first big question. What about the second one? Who wants to do that one? Go for it.
Where does it go?
Right. So this is one of our big problems. Like, is it going to end up in our water? Is it in the soil? Will it end up in our food? Is it going to kill animals? That type of idea. And then our third one, I'm going to read this one. Sorry. How do we get it out? This is the biggest one. If we find that it is toxic, it's going to hurt us, and it's going to be in all these places, how do we get it out of here? So, today, we're going to give it a shot by trying our nanofilter challenge. So, who wants to read the goal? Ryan, Josh, read the goal.
Can you separate one type of particle from the rest?
Right, so this is our big idea. So if we're going to assume for the second that nanoparticles are toxic, that means they're hurtful to us and they're hurtful to the environment, we're going to focus on how do we get those out of our system. So here's how it's going to work. Basically, I'm going to have a box full of different types of balls. So we're going to have
you gonna do this? Well, you're gonna have this frame, as you see here, that you're gonna put your filters in. And to make these filters, we're gonna supply you with various materials such as paper, tape, some Velcro, some cups. And your job is to figure out how to use these to filter out the particles, or the nanosilver particles. So, a couple rules before you start, or when you go to test, once you dump the balls onto your filter, you can't touch anything or adjust it. And the goal, as we said earlier, is to separate the nanosilver particles from everything else.
Right, and we hold the final decision as to whether it's separated enough. So if you can, the further separated is, the more successful you are. And you'll be completely successful if you just get them all away from the other ones. And we've got additional challenges if you manage to do that. Are there any questions?
That silver that you had in your lab looked really big, but you said it was really small.
Yeah. So the way that we synthesize nanosilver is actually in solution. So it looks like we've just got, it actually kind of looks like diluted Sunny D. Like if you mix Sunny D with water, it's kind of that orange, but you can't see any particles in it. You just see the color because it reflects light. So we have to keep it in that foil. So it looks like we've got a lot of it, but actually we only have a little bit in solution.
So it's only silver because it's covered in silver. It's
Well,
not that silver. That's not
foil.
silver.
It's not
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, so it wasn't the outside bit, it was what was inside the foil. In foil. Yes,
Is it silver?
it is silver.
How can it be silver?
Well, what we do is to synthesize it, it's actually, if you've got one molecule of silver, we actually add a bunch of different chemicals to it so that it's its own tiny piece of material. So when you put a lot of those together, they don't actually bind together. They're just in solution. So you've just got a tiny molecule of what we call nanosilver. So it's not just silver, there's a lot of other chemicals that go into it, but the basic idea is that it is silver. Anyone?
Okay, let's thank them.